The NXT TakeOver War Games Prediction Edition of the Squared Circle Psychobabble. I'm Michael Valenti, a very sick Michael Valenti. That's Ralph Valenti, and this is our last ever episode on a Sunday that we're releasing the Squared Circle Psychobabble because we're going to start a new schedule. If you watch on YouTube or subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, wherever your favorite podcast provider is, you can now get the podcast on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays starting this week. But with that, make sure you subscribe, make sure you review, and all that fun stuff. So let's start with the NXT TakeOver War Games predictions for 2018. 4 matches on the card. We'll start with the Women's NXT Championship, Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Who you got, Ralph?
So I'm taking Shayna Baszler in this one. I don't think they're going to go the traditional hot potato route with the title. I do think the 2 members that they recently introduced from the 4 Horsewomen are going to have some type of involvement in this match, and that's how Baszler will end up getting the win. So I'm going with Baszler here.
I agree. I'm going with Baszler as well. The story that they have so far is Kairi Sane won the Mae Young Classic final last year. She won the NXT Brooklyn match earlier this year. And then Shayna Baszler, with the help of the 2 of the 4 Horsewomen, Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, won at Evolution. So the matchup right now is 2-1 in favor of Kairi Sane. Shayna Baszler is now the first ever 2-time NXT Women's Champion. And with that, I think they will like her to have somewhat of a reign before she gets called up to the main roster. And what better way to build that by winning 2 out of 3 against Kairi Sane and winning the best of 5 series in fall count with a score of 3-2. So I'm going with Shayna Baszler as well. Next up, we have Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano in what would have been part of the main event of TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Aleister Black got hurt during a house show. They wrote him off by being attacked at Full Sail University. And it turns out that Johnny Gargano was the man that attacked Aleister Black. And a great story so far with Johnny Gargano. Great promo that he cut with his cell phone this past week on NXT. Who do you got for this one?
I'm going to go with Gargano. I think he's going to win in some type of chicken shit heel fashion. Eventually, Aleister Black, I think, will get the win over him and get his retribution. I just don't think it's going to be here. So I'm gonna go with Gargano.
I think Aleister Black, and mostly because I think the story at the end of it all is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, and they will have their rematch in Brooklyn at WrestleMania weekend. Aleister Black, on the other hand, I really see this match really as just a one-off, and Aleister Black will be called up fairly soon, in my opinion. Obviously, there's no rumors circulating about it yet, but the fact that there's been really no NXT call-ups since WrestleMania, there weren't any for SummerSlam, you think they might have something in the works for Survivor Series weekend, and I think Aleister Black is the call-up. Mm-hmm. So, time will tell in a week's time, so we'll see. But I think Aleister Black loses. Johnny Gargano moves on to be a number 1 contender eventually, and Aleister Black gets called up. Speaking of Tommaso Ciampa, the NXT Championship match. Tommaso Ciampa squares off against the Velveteen Dream. This is going to be a great match. I think 2 of the best wrestlers NXT has to offer right now. You can't go wrong with either one of them being the champion. But I think as Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, that story is going to WrestleMania. I'm going with the Tommaso Ciampa retention here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Tommaso Ciampa as well. I think that the fans are definitely going to be hot for Velveteen Dream, and they're going to want to see a title change. I don't think that's going to happen if they decide to put the belt on Velveteen Dream. I don't think it's going to happen here. I think they extend the storyline out a couple more months. Maybe I don't know what pay-per-view is to follow that, but they have a rematch, and maybe Velveteen Dream wins the title there. Or they keep the belt on Ciampa, and Velveteen Dream is actually the one that gets called up. Regardless, I think there's a number of individuals on the NXT roster that are capable of going up to the main roster and being contributing and making an impact right from the start. Either one of these guys is certainly capable of doing that, but we'll see. I think Ciampa's going to retain here, though.
Yeah, I mean, with Velveteen Dream, he could get called up, but at the same time, I don't see it. Yeah, I think he still has another year. He doesn't have any, like, when it comes to takeovers, he doesn't win a lot.
He doesn't, right?
He puts over a lot of people right now, and I think he needs to start collecting some wins before they decide to bring him up to the main roster. But I could be wrong. Maybe it is Dream and not Black that gets called up. Our main event for NXT TakeOver War Games, or what I think would be the main event, is the War Games match between the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong, going up against the NXT UK or United Kingdom champion Pete Dunne, the North American champion Ricochet, and the War Raiders. This is going to be awesome. Yep. Last year's War Game match was awesome. Undisputed Era won last year. Do they win this year as well?
I'm going to say they do not. And the reason I said that is only because of all my predictions earlier than this. So I have pretty much all of the supposed heels winning, and I can't see all the heels having a clean sweep of all matches straight across the board. And to me, this would probably be the one match where I could see them having the team of the faces winning, so that way the crowd can go home happy. Even though I do think a good majority of the crowd is going to be rooting for the Undisputed Era, I'm going to go with the latter of the two to win this match, though.
This is a tough one because, again, like I said, there's going to be a call-up this week. I feel it. There's going to be a call-up on Raw or SmackDown. I'm thinking Aleister Black. You could say Velveteen Dream, but this might be the time for the Undisputed Era. Now, I understand that they still have the NXT Tag Team Championships, but they can defend them and go up and down. That's not a big issue. But with Ricochet as the North American champion, Pete Dunne is the United Kingdom champion, and the War Raiders probably will eventually be the tag team champions. I think I'm with you on this, and I will go with Dunne, Ricochet, War Raiders to win this match. And this might be the Undisputed Era's last match in NXT. But if it's not, then I could see Undisputed Era winning and then have Fish and O'Reilly drop the titles in Phoenix for TakeOver in January. It's a tough one. It's tough. But, you also mentioned that the heels have won. You have all the heels winning right now, and I do as well. I'm going with Undisputed Era. I'm going to go with Undisputed Era winning this one.
So you think it's going to be a clean sweep for the heels?
I think so. It's going to be a clean sweep for the heels. So, to recap, we have Shayna Baszler over Kairi Sane. We have Johnny Gargano over Aleister Black. Tommaso Ciampa over Velveteen Dream. And I have the Undisputed Era over Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders. Ralph has Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders over the Undisputed Era. That is our NXT TakeOver War Games predictions. Make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast provider, whether it's iTunes, whether it's Stitcher, Google, Spotify. And if you have a chance to review, give us a nice review too. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications as we try to get to 1,000 subscribers before Royal Rumble. If we get there, I have some great content that is going to be starting the night after the Royal Rumble. So you're not going to want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti. Thank you for listening to the Squared Circles Lego Babble.